All right, so today I want to talk a little bit about core values. And recently I've been doing a lot of consulting work that revolves around organizational culture, leadership styles, and a bunch of different things. And whenever I go into an organization, the first thing I always look at is their core values, their mission statements, any sort of documentation that creates alignment throughout an organization. Because at the Nonverbal Group, it's really not my job to choose how you show up in the world. It's our job to make sure that physically you are in alignment with what you chose. So for example, like if one of your core values is I want to make everyone miserable and you're making everyone around you miserable, you're in alignment. You said you were going to do X and this is manifested in behavior. And the interesting thing about this is, I mean, there's a lot of problems with core values in organizations. I think it's an exercise that people just do because everybody has them. So like everybody has a core value, everybody has a mission statement. So people just tend to just like throw it up there. Some of these they were created like 10 or 15 years ago. The company isn't aligned with it. Nobody even knows what they are. And then there's sort of other organizations that really bleed it and really integrate it quite a bit. And I've been hired by those organizations to do something called almost like a behavioral manifestation of core values. So what happens there is, people write out these core values and the language is so cool and it sounds, very inspiring, but how do we measure the application of that in a physical environment? So if one of your core values is encouragement, how do we see in a meeting encouragement? Like, what does encouragement actually look like? Is it a smack on the back? Is it a smile? Is it really carefully placed feedback? I mean, there's tons of different ways that you can create encouragement. So what I do is I help people sort of live their core values at a higher leadership level. And as I've been doing this and seeing all the problems with it and how it's very hard to do, I've been thinking about my own company and like, what do I actually want the core values of the Nonverbal Group to be? And one of the things that I'm starting to see is that like, I don't think it's a decision for one person. I think it's a decision that a bunch of different people need to make. So, as I start to build out our core team and have like the sort of executive level of the Nonverbal Group, it's like sitting down with them and sort of going back and forth and really revisiting what those things are, because I really do believe that it is one of the most effective ways to run a company if done correctly. And also, let me rephrase, because it's so hard, because I have seen very successful companies that have amazing cultures that don't even know what their core values actually are. And I've seen companies that have spent tons of money orchestrating the perfectly well-written, hired like a senior consultant strategist and came up with these 6 to 7 amazing things, and they don't live it at all. So there's obviously, it's just infinitely more complex than people make it seem. But I do think that when you start an organization and you have a foundation of a core set of values, what starts to become so powerful is that you can see as you grow, as you scale, as your company sort of changes, where you lose those values. And that's why I really believe that a lot of time and effort should be dedicated to this up front, especially when starting things. And I'm going to be talking about behavioral core values quite a bit. It seems to be the bulk of what our consulting is recently, and it's something that I think we're uniquely qualified to do. I haven't heard anyone apply it in the way that we do, so I'm excited to do that. But also just a quick sort of notion to you. I don't know if you're watching this, you have a company, you work in a company that has core values or doesn't, you own a company, whatever, but it's also really interesting to look at what are your own core values for yourself. What are your commitments? What are the things that if I were to meet you and knew nothing about you, like how would I summarize your behavior? How would I summarize your interactions? And it's really the only way to create alignment, right? That's what's so cool about this world, is you can create yourself to be whatever you want to be. And if the perception of the people around you is that, it starts to become reality. So in the Social Edge, our course coming out later into this year, we spent a lot of time on the concept of branding from a personal perspective. What you want to be about, what's the energy that you want to display, and all the different various ways that you can apply that. So I just find the core values to be an incredible thing that I'm just thinking a lot about lately. That's why I just want to make this video. So yeah, a random ending here. I think one of the core values for myself that is been integrated, but I don't need to say, is like lateness. So if I'm supposed to be somewhere at 3 p.m., I'm never late. Like, it's very, very rare. I think like the percentage of times I'm late is like maybe like 1 or 2%. But I've also seen where like my word and my connection to time is a little bit less formal with certain people. Like, for example, like today I was supposed to I told Matt, I was like, listen, give me 5 minutes. I'll talk to you in 5 minutes. And 5 minutes became 10, 10 became 15, so on and so forth. So right now I'm trying to I always pride myself on someone that's gonna, if I say I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there at this time. I'm going to be there at this time. So I'm going to create a higher level of it. So make sure I show up the same way in Zoom meetings and little phone calls and little text messages. So that's sort of the thing I'm working on right now, is a more stricter connection to time and what time I said I would do things. I consider myself to be pretty good, but I want to be like superb. Yeah. All right. That's about it. I'm going to get on a plane soon, head to Disney World, and I'll share some stuff from there as well.